To the first Monday Music Motivation of 2023. It feels crazy to be saying that already as 2023. It feels like time just keeps on flying. And I guess they say the older you get, the more that happens. So, yeah, 2023, here we are. Monday Music Motivation. I thought a good topic to cover for this first one of the year is going to be resolutions and how to set a good clarinet related New Year's resolution. So, who here has set a resolution or has a resolution in mind for your clarinet playing this year? Either just like the video if you have a resolution, or even comment down below what your resolution is. And then we're going to get into what makes a good resolution or not really. So the first thing that like everybody gets wrong with their resolutions is that it's just too big and too vague. Basically, the whole point here is to get it more focused and more narrowed in, and actionable is going to be the really big one. But the thing that people always do with their resolutions is set something really generic and really lofty, like 2023 is the year that I improve my articulation. Like my tongue's going to be better this year, or I'm going to play with more air support this year, or I'm going to have a good sound this year. Those things are great goals. It's good. It's important to have good articulation and good air support and all of that stuff. We all want to sound good when we play and be able to play well. So like those goals are fantastic and obviously what we should be going for. The problem when you set a resolution like that, though, is that it's really ambiguous and it's not very tangible. Like better articulation. Okay. Will you know if you achieve that goal? That's a great question to be asking is when you're at the end of the year looking back, how do you know you achieved what you set out to do? And maybe then it's, oh, I want to be able to articulate at this particular speed, or I want to be able to play staccato in the upper clarion without any undertones or grunts or things like that. And that's starting to get better. That's getting us a little bit more focused in. That's something at the end of the year that you can look back on and say, okay, I did it. I achieved this goal. So I think that's the first thing that I want you to all think about is sort of specificity and tangibility to your resolution. So I want you to make sure that whatever resolution you have can be stated as something that at the end of the year you can look back and say, I did it. So articulation at a certain speed, maybe with a sound quality one, being able to play Christmas tree long tones in this certain register and getting all the notes to match and all the transitions to go pretty well most of the time. Maybe if it's a technique thing, it's being able to play the chromatic scale at a certain tempo. More specificity like that so you can know whether you achieved the goal or not. So that's getting better. And I think a lot of people make it to this level of specificity. I think the majority of people are at the big generic goal, better articulation or whatever. I think some people make it to this more specific articulating at this speed or whatever, something that's really tangible that you can look back on and say you did it. Uh, but that's not enough. We all have those goals. This is where you get into the classic resolution. You think of the one that's like everybody's like, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in 2023. That's specific. That's something you can go at the end of the year and look back and say you did it or you didn't. But the problem that everybody has with that, and again, this is like the stereotype of resolutions, is that they go to the gym for January and then stop by February and they don't end up losing the 10 pounds. Or for us, you want to be able to articulate 16th notes at 120 by the end of the year. You do your articulation exercises really well in January and then sort of forget about it. And then who knows where you end up by the end of the year. So that's the next trap, is not following through and not staying committed to it. So how do we make that happen? This is where I think the most important part of resolutions comes in, and that's having actionability to it. So we need it to be tangible and specific enough, but we also need it to be actionable. So the goal isn't, or the resolution isn't, uh, articulate 16th notes at 120 by the end of the year. That's maybe the goal, but that's not what your resolution should be. Your resolution should be to work on articulation every day or every time you practice. That now is an actionable resolution. And that's the key to really achieving anything in life, is you have to make it actionable and you have to actually do the work. everything is possible if you do the work, but you have to get in there and actually do it. So, for a really good uh, sample resolution working on articulation, would be the goal is to articulate 16th notes at 120 by the end of the year. So every time I practice, I'm going to do the scale articulation exercise or whatever articulation exercise you want, burst articulation exercise, whatever you want. Or you can have a list. I'm going to do one of the articulation exercises from this list for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes every single time I practice. Now that is a resolution that's easier to stick to, and you can check in with yourself throughout the year. Am I still doing this every single time I practice? And who knows, maybe you hit your goal by March, and then you can come up with the next goal and start moving towards it. And that's actually how I prefer to work through things, is having one giant resolution for the whole year is sometimes a little too much, or it's hard to find something that's like big enough that you can really work towards the whole year. Because when you start doing the action and putting in the work, usually you get there pretty quick. It actually doesn't take a whole year to do much or many things. So what I like to do is I just set the next goal, do my action getting there, and then once I hit that goal, then I set the next goal with that actionability in it. The other thing that I want to mention too about this is a lot of times people will set a resolution that is really daunting. Maybe something like, I'm going to practice for an hour every day this year. That's great. That sounds fantastic. And maybe you're close to that. Maybe in 2022, you practiced almost an hour a day, pretty much every day, but you had some days off, or maybe a week off here or there, or just some days where the practicing didn't go very well. And if that's the case, then you might think, oh, I could do 1 hour a day. I was close to it last year, uh, but I bet I could do it this year if I just really force myself and set that resolution to 1 hour a day of practice every day for the year. And it would be great to be able to do that. But the problem is that's really hard to do because it takes a lot of effort to do that every single day. You wake up and you think, okay, when am I going to do my hour? And maybe you even have it scheduled in, but then you're like, oh, I don't really feel like practicing for an hour right now. That's a really daunting one. So to make it a little bit more manageable, instead of practice an hour every day, just say get the clarinet out every day. That's so much more achievable, so much less daunting. There's less of a barrier there to get yourself to do it, because it's not about having the motivation and the willpower to do it. It's about having the momentum to keep it going. And you want to make something that's really easy and really achievable so that you can easily keep up that momentum. It's like riding a bike, right? Practice an hour every day is riding the bike uphill every day. Getting the clarinet out every day is riding the bike downhill because it's easy to do. So you keep that momentum. You're just keeping cruising down the hill every single day and getting that practicing in. Because by the time you get the clarinet out, then you're going to at least want to practice a little bit. And next thing you know, maybe an hour's gone by and you've done your hour of practice without having that roadblock of the hill going up to think, oh, I got to practice a whole hour right now. I just don't have the energy for it. You don't need that motivation. You don't need the energy. You need to do the simple thing to get the momentum to start practicing and then going more and more. So those are my big tips. Just to recap that real quick, if I can remember, hopefully. One is, don't be too broad, make it tangible. So something you can look back at the end of the year and tangibly, yes, you did it or didn't do it. Make it actionable. So it's not just something that you're hoping to do. It's an action that you're going to take regularly to get there. It's that regular action that gets all of the results for anything in life. And then the last one is, make that action simple. Don't make it an uphill action, make it a downhill action. Make it something really easy that you can start building momentum. So if we could really quickly recap: tangible, actionable, momentum. Maybe that would be the good way to do it. So I want now, if you maybe left a comment earlier in this video when I said what's your resolution, I want you to go back, or if you didn't leave a comment, I want you to think about it now and write down your tangible, actionable, and easy momentum resolution for the year, so you can have a really great resolution leading you forward. And I also think that's a great segue to what we're going to be doing. And this is kind of my resolution for the year. I don't have any big goals. I want to keep learning interesting music and keep developing my playing, of course. But really, I'm much more into the action side of things. I don't think there's that many super exciting goals for me. Like maybe I could double tongue or. I really want to play a concerto with an orchestra, but that's not something that you get through practicing. That's something you get through networking. So that's a little separate. But the thing that I'm really sticking to actionability wise is sticking to the template for our Monday music motivation and actually just continuing to schedule time to practice every week, schedule specific things to be working on every week. So that's mine. And you can go to the link in the description, quickstartclarinet.com/get started, and that can get you access to the free members area where you can download this actual template. If you already have access to the free members area, there's a login button in the top right of that page now, so you can just log into it. Or you can also just recreate this template. It's super simple. The date for the week, the reflection of how things are going. I took a break the last 2 weeks, so I don't have too much going, but I am excited to get back to playing. The goal for the week, and then actually scheduling things in. And I think that's maybe one bonus tip for your resolution is if you can be consistent about scheduling the action, then it's actually going to happen. You're actually going to take the action. You're actually going to get the results because again, results come from action. Action comes from scheduling, and you'll be in good shape if you actually schedule it. So that's the template. I have my plan scheduled. Right when we're done with this, comment your what was it again? Your tangible, actionable, easy momentum resolution. Comment that below, and then fill out your template for when you're going to be actually implementing that this week and scheduling it. So I hope this gives you guys some good tangible and actionable stuff to get going with your music resolutions. And I will see you all next week where we'll check in and fill out our template for next week as well. So go take those actions, get those results, and I will see you all next week. And I wish you all the happiest of New Year's and the most success on your clarinet and music journey in 2023. See you next